I saw some really bad incidents with officers. I was assaulted really bad. What I'm getting at is you have some old school prison guards there, and that's all they know is violence. And I'm thinking, man, you guys want to terminate me for the same shit like 95% of these supervisors are doing? And nothing against them,
Right.
I get it, but let's open your eyes a little bit.
Welcome back to the I Got a Police podcast here with your host, Marlon Marrache. And today, another special guest that drove all the way from Visalia. Visalia is what we call it, right? But all of us call it Visalia.
Yeah.
Wonder why? Is it because we just can't pronounce it and we have to go?
I've heard it be called a few different things. I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Alex Duran, man, hey, thanks for stopping by, bro. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Marlon. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so, well, let's, before we get into, your journey, your story, I'm just curious to know that, you said you were a youth counselor, right, in a group home. And I guess my question is that how did that transition into getting into law enforcement?
So I always wanted to be in some type of law enforcement. And, being younger, you can't really do law enforcement until you're at least 18. So right away I said, what can I do now? So I applied for a youth authority and the group homes. And I think it was called Grace Homes at the time. They gave me an opportunity to work with juvenile delinquents. So we had children there from 12 all the way to 21 and from all different type of counties.
Wow.
Backgrounds.
As you sit here today and reflect on that job, talk to me. What was the most challenging part about that job?
Man, Marlon, so it's crazy in the youth counseling
kids are
industry.
just buck wild, going crazy,
man.
or what?
So I had gangsters from Oakland. I had some blacks that were Crips. I mean, you think of children. Some of these guys are bigger than me. They were grown men.
Really?
Yeah, and then we also had children that were and so you got a variety of different people there, and it was really eye-opening to me to see all these kids and to be kind of like almost like a father figure or a brother to them. But man, kids are violent. They're at that point where they're either damaged, hurt, or seen a lot. So, I was getting assaulted by kids. Kids were crying and venting to me about traumatic things that were happening to them. And I was just like mind blown, like of all these things that are going on in the world that you don't see. But it was a good experience for me to kind of get my feet wet on the prison guard stuff, because that's what prison's all about. You got a little bit of everybody.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, because it's an interesting topic. I don't get to talk to, many guests from corrections. One, two, shout out to Hector Bravo and my boy Jamil for coming into the studio and sharing your journey. But I often wonder that in juvenile delinquency, if you will, is one of those elements having an absent father, or what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Most of the kids I met either didn't have a father or a mother, and were just put in the foster care,
right?
And bouncing around from home to home, and they don't have any type of love or connection, and they just feel mistreated, misused, and a lot of the kids they get invited to gang politics or to drugs, and that's a family to them. When they're able to connect with a gang that welcomes you, and that's all you'll die for that. And I met a lot of hardcore gangsters, kids that were Sereno Southerners,
right? And
they were welcomed by that gang, and they didn't have a family. So to them, that was their family,
right?
And they would do anything for them.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it,
I bet. Let me ask you this, though. As you sit here today, this was about 15, 16 years ago, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
You ever wonder if any of those kids, where they're at now?
It's crazy you asked that. So there was a kid I met from, I believe he was from San Luis Obispo, and I met him. He was 16 years old. And fast forward, I want to say 10 years, I was a sergeant at CSP Corcoran working for a facility in the SHU. And I see that kid in a cage. We have dog runs over there is what we call them. And they get to come out to yard and program, in a cage. And I saw one of those kids there. And I
Did he recognize you?
He recognized me.
Did you recognize him?
No, I was a sergeant. I believe I was a sergeant at the time. So I was just walking to like go do a hearing for one of the inmates in a building. So we don't really talk to the inmates, while they're doing yard. Hey, Duran, how's it going? What's up, Duran? Hey, what's up, guys? And this one kid, he looked at me and he's like, Alex, when an inmate calls you by your first name, that's not normal. So it caught my attention real quick, and I turned and looked at him, and it was just all good. He was happy to see me because I was almost like a brother to him, in that atmosphere. But yeah, it was really, really eye-opening. Yeah. And it's kind of sad to see, where he ended up, but that's just kind of the way it goes for people like that when they don't, when all they're exposed to is violence and drugs, But
Right.
yeah.
No, totally.
Yeah.
We go from being in this group home, right? That's a youth counselor, and all of a sudden, congratulations, you make it to Kern County.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So I applied for a few agencies and just couldn't get in. And so I applied for Kern County, which is like an hour and 20 minutes from where I live. And they said, hey, we picked up your packet. You're going to start the process. It's a pretty in-depth process for Kern County. You apply, they interview you, and then you have to go conduct a polygraph test. And passed all that. And remind you, Kern County, they take you at 18.
Okay.
You don't have to be 21.
Okay.
So I got offered a job, I think, when I was 20.
Okay.
About 20 and a half. I was pretty young still. And that was just really eye-opening to me, because I don't have any type of law enforcement experience besides watching TV shows and, wanting to do that. But I didn't know what I was going to expose myself to at 20 years old.
If I may interject, was it as crazier or even crazier than that group home that you worked prior?
So
if you can reflect.
Yeah, so I watched, I want to say I had 6 kids in the house that I worked at.
Okay.
So it was definitely a lot crazier just because of what was going on.
Right.
And I told Hector this. So AB 109 took effect.
Okay.
So what that means is the state said, hey, we're overpopulated in the prison system.
Yes.
What are we going to do? We have inmates sleeping in gymnasiums on bunk beds. It's crazy. So they made the determination to send a lot of state inmates to the county level.
Okay.
So we got flooded with, I don't know how many inmates, hundreds and hundreds of state inmates that were at the end of their time, their sentence. And they said, hey, you're going to finish your time here in the county jail. So when I started, we had about 500 to 600 state inmates flood our jail, and it caused a lot of violence. A lot of violence.
Well, I was going to say, now let me ask you this, though, if you can answer this, from the lens of the convict, I guess, right? The prisoner that's serving their remaining time and getting ready to get back out in society. You think did they like it, or was it easier for them, or?
So, I mean,
what do you think?
I think when you talk about prison and you have an inmate go to another area, if he's a gangster, he's a gangster. So if he's doing only 6 months left, if you put him in an area where he has to put in work or do something, he's going to do it in a heartbeat. So that's what we were getting involved with.
Got it. So so inmates, and again, we're assuming here that perhaps, I know you know what, I don't want to go. I just want to finish my time here. I'm comfortable here.
Yeah.
I got my routine here. I got my structure here, and I want to go back out,
Right.
And be free. But now you're sending me to a county jail.
Yeah, and I think the mentality was, oh yeah, I'll go back to the county, whatever. They'd rather go back to an area that's, what I wouldn't say easier, but less traffic.
Got it.
But
A little more convenient for them.
Yeah, but what I saw is we would get some, Southerners and any type of gang we pretty much had there in Kern County. But you're bringing these guys into a county level, and some of them they've already proved themselves in the state system. And you're bringing the younger kids into the county, and now these guys are like, they have to either check people or let people know, hey, these are who you're going to be serving to when you go to the state level and you hit reception. And after you go to reception and they put you in a prison, this is who you're going to be taking orders from. So you're kind of put in a position of authority as an inmate because you've already done state time on certain yards. So you can't really just stop politicking.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. No, I hear you loud
It's a little
and clear.
crazy.
Now we move from Kern County. You said, you know what? Congratulations. We're going to go to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Yeah.
I take it one of the motivators was pay, was money.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I mentioned, I worked for the jail, and it was a good time. It was busy. I learned a lot. Very fast paced. The guards, they're old school, so they don't talk to you. They don't look at you. You put your work in, and they learn to trust you over time, type of thing. And I look like I'm 10 years old walking around. But it took a little bit of time. I saw some really bad incidents with officers. I was assaulted really bad. And while I was on leave for that 2 weeks, the state called me and said, hey, we're opening up the academy again. We can put you in this academy, but it starts in about 3 weeks. So are you willing to accept? And I'm thinking, man, if I'm going to get battered and assaulted, I might as well get a little bit more pay, So I took that transition and told the sheriff's department, hey, it was cool, but kick rocks. And went to the...
And here we go.
Yeah, let's go start the, I think, 4-month academy for CDCR, 16 weeks.
So essentially, within 2 years, you did 2 academies.
Well, yeah, the county, there wasn't an academy. It's just a hiring process you go through. If you want to transition to deputy, which I was about to...
you were going to go to the academy.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
You were
I
going to
ended
get
up...
your appointment.
Yeah.
How challenging was the academy? What was academy life like? Because I can tell you mine. Mine wasn't all that great.
Yeah, I mean, the corrections academy is pretty basic. It's nothing too crazy. It's just one of those things where you got to really put your head down and understand this is the very beginning of your career. Yeah. Don't fuck it up. Don't go out and drink. Don't get complacent. Know your times to come in, what time you're supposed to be back, because those little things can get you what they call recycled or kicked out. Everything's going good, and you go have a drink with some of the guys, and you get a DUI, or your buddy gets involved in a bar fight. Those little things you're done. You're going to ruin your whole academy time. I wouldn't say it's too difficult. It's one of those things. You just put your head down, you work. Once a week, you take your basic test. It wasn't too challenging for me. I hurt myself in the academy. I pulled a muscle running. But I wasn't about to get recycled, so it was difficult for me.
Recycled, bro.
Yeah, so it was difficult for me because I pushed myself through 2 weeks of pain with my leg.
Yes.
To keep going through, know. But yeah, I did my little 16 weeks in and out, kept my head down, and I started at Valley State Prison.
Wow, and so here we go. Out of curiosity, which, by the way, before I ask you that question, for the record, when I said it wasn't that great for me, is because waking up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to drive and to be with everybody else. I was a little older. I was like 29, 30 years old, and I'm looking at these little 22, 23-year-olds. Some of us were around my age, but my point is, it was just a pain waking up.
Oh, yeah. How long was your guys' academy?
6 months. Ooh. 6 months, and I carpooled with... 3 of my classmates, so we had to go to 3 different locations as we all lived in the San Fernando Valley, and you can imagine you're nervous and stressed out, and hoping that you make it there on time. So
half a year, right?
Right.
There.
So even though we had to be there, ready to go by 5:45, dude, we left at 3:30 because we just did not want to be late. I mean,
you're already tired. 2 hours. I always left Sunday to get situated so that way I could sleep at the academy and then be good for Monday,
Anyone in the academy tell you anything about internal affairs?
No. Nothing at all.
Right. So then my follow-up question is that even if they did, you probably would have said, okay, great, and one goes through one ear, not the other. It falls on deaf ears. Yeah. Because you're just trying to graduate, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Marlon, when it comes to internal affairs, you're talking to a 21-year-old kid. Honestly, I thought it was people investigating people cheating on their significant other. That were interviewing people for affairs.
That was what I was going to ask you. What was your impression of internal affairs?
I had no idea. I just thought they were investigating people that were cheating on their significant other. I didn't know what that meant. I'd be honest with you.
Okay.
Nothing. No idea.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. I know you did about 12, 13 years in CDCR. At what point did you get an impression of IA?
Shoot, I mean, I think my first year I was in trouble already for excessive force. Coming from the county jail is very violent. Okay, and we have a lot more. We do a lot more stuff.
Flexibility.
We'll leave it at that. So I come into the state, my mindset is different. I'm thinking this is how we do stuff.
Right.
And so I got in trouble right away and exposed to, hey, this is how the investigation works, and started doing my own homework.
Right. If you don't mind me asking, though, but was that just the practice or the culture? Meaning you're not the only one that's getting IA'd, or there is an IA for excessive force. I would imagine some of your colleagues were also, getting an IA because of excessive force or any other type of alleged misconduct. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something nobody knows exactly what internal affairs is. It's just one of those things that it's not talked about.
Okay.
Not enough to where people are going to grasp the actual meaning of what they do and their standard, I guess you could say.
Right. And it's interesting you say that, because a lot of guests stop by and we have these conversations. And my follow-up question to that is, let me ask you this. Who do we hold accountable for just not knowing what this function is? I mean, would you agree with me that it's an important function?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So
mandatory.
So now, as we're having this conversation today, right? May 26, 2025, and we're looking back in your days in CDCR, who do we hold accountable for not letting us know how important this function is? What do you think?
I mean, I'd hate to put it just on one person. I feel like there's a lot of people to hold accountable. But if I'm hiring somebody that works for internal affairs, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. I don't think those things are actually being looked into.
Right.
So if you're hiring people that are bending the rules or looking out for people or not actually holding integrity, or somebody that's not being trustworthy, and those are the people that are interviewing officers, that creates a huge red flag. And then it creates this whole thing of disconnection.
100%. I think I can answer it for you. Yes, we're all accountable.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we can't say, well, you know what, brass.
Right.
We can't say your sergeant.
Yeah.
We can't just pinpoint to, a specific rank.
Right.
It's
trickles
all
the way down.
It's all of us.
Yeah.
That's including,
100%,
hell, the executive director who's way up in CDCR saying, hey, listen, we need to push down to the troops that this discipline function, right?
Yeah.
Look, we're only going to tolerate certain behavior, or there's certain things that you can do, and there's certain things that you can't do.
Right.
And as a captain or as a director, whatever rank it is up in brass, you got to tell your rank and file and set the standard.
Yeah, 100%. And just to kind of explain it a little better, because honestly, prison guards, we're not the smartest. If as a kid, if you're going to get in trouble, your parents are probably going to tell you, hey, I'm going to put you in timeout for 1 hour. So you think about, I'm going to be in trouble for 1 hour. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
Nobody explains internal affairs in the academy or to officers. And if internal affairs was proactive, either at the academy or during their yearly block training, and they said, hey, this is what we do. Hey, if you get in trouble for excessive force, unnecessary force, administrative criminally, let me tell you what the consequences could be. So that way they have a clear understanding of, hey, man, if I do this, this is what could happen.
Correct.
Because 90% of prison guards do not know that other half. They don't know. No one explains that to them. And, that kind of goes in. I've been in trouble for explaining stuff to officers because I've always wanted to explain to them, hey, man, just so you know, this is what you're being investigated on.
Right.
This is what they're using against you.
Right.
And these are the things you should probably review. I was always scrutinized because that's the kind of supervisor I was.
Right. And if I may, out of curiosity, I take it internal affairs investigators are surgeons and above?
It's changed so much. It is out of control.
Well, how about during your time?
Yeah. So
who were the investigators?
So with
Probably
internal
sergeants,
affairs, it would start at your sergeants and obviously go to your lieutenants.
Okay.
And then at your manager level, they would conduct admin review.
Right. So they're the adjudicators, but the one who investigate, the IO, is a sergeant or lieutenant.
Yeah.
Here's my next question. If you're in a room full of sergeants today, right now, in CDCR, pick a facility, and those sergeants are getting ready to begin their tour in internal affairs, what's the one thing you want them to know about that job?
That you can't be biased, that you need to be trustworthy, and you're a fact gatherer. You are here to gather facts. I don't need your opinion. I don't need you to bend the rules or to favor anybody. I need you to be a fact gatherer, gather all the facts and put them on the paper and present them to me, and I'll make the decision.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I'm not saying I would make that decision, but
You'd be the adjudicator.
yeah, I don't want their opinion, because a lot of people are real opinionated, and a lot of people, how do you say this? They leave stuff out.
Well, then let me ask you this,
You
though.
know.
Have you seen an internal affairs report where there was some opinions?
All the time. All the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to check the box that, hey,
yeah.
let's leave our opinions out. Let's get facts.
Hey,
and
you
only
didn't
facts.
interview this person. How come? Oh, I forgot about it. No, you didn't forget about that person.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, you printed out a sheet of everybody working for the day, so you know who you should have interviewed.
Yeah.
Why did you forget to interview your two best friends that you carpool with? You know, just stupid stuff like that.
You know what?
You know.
It might sound stupid, but I'm telling you, corrections culture of discipline is no any different than municipalities.
Right.
We just seem to think that, hey, you know what? Some do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
The mantra that I always say when I teach also is no stone goes unturned. Apparently, during your times when you were at, all the stones were not turned because they didn't interview many people and they didn't canvass and didn't do, a very thorough, well-written, well-pleaded type of investigation.
Yeah.
And do you feel as though that maybe they needed some training, the people that got into internal affairs? Or did they just pick someone saying, hey, you're going to go to IA?
So, Marlon, when I was in the department, when I was a sergeant for 7 years. So when I was a sergeant, you weren't given any training. You were simply handed a staff complaint, and you were instructed to complete this at a certain time.
Okay.
So they trusted you as a supervisor to be that internal affairs person, just for basic misconduct, obviously.
Right.
But no, there's no training. Now it's a little different.
Okay.
They send you to what's called LDI, a local designated investigator training. It's mandated if you're a supervisor now.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah, no training for the supervisors.
Well, let's talk, man. Hey, you know what? This is an IA, type of podcast. So talk to me. You were a sergeant for 7 years. I know you were a lieutenant as well. Walk me through one of your complaints that you got that was kind of challenging, if you can recall.
Man, shoot. When I first started doing staff complaints, it's like with anything else. It's you ask your superiors, or you start networking. Hey, I need help. Do you have a staff complaint I could review? Show me how to be the fact gatherer so I know what I'm getting myself into. But shoot, I've seen horrible stuff, disgusting stuff. As a lieutenant, you start investigating stuff left and right.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Did you complete an investigation when you were a lieutenant?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you turned it in, did someone say, maybe you need to do less or you need to do more?
I've always been very thorough when it comes to writing, so I would, definitely look at stuff as thoroughly as I could. But the way it worked when I was a lieutenant is I was conducting an investigation. I'd interview everybody I had to, conduct my fact gathering, finalize my report, and then I would send it to my captain and associate warden.
Next level review.
And then they send it to a whole other department. So that captain in
that position,
he makes the decision in the corrections.
He's the adjudicator.
Yeah. Okay. And they would usually, hey, interview this other person or basic stuff, But I didn't really know a whole lot.
Okay.
It's just learning.
If I may ask, Alex, did you investigate alleged misconduct on an officer where you felt like, you know what, this is just some bullshit?
Yeah, I could tell you about that. So, remind you, Corcoran had the shoe, so there's a lot of violent inmates there. Pelican Bay, Corcoran, we kind of mix match some of the most violent inmates in the state.
Right. I think at one point there was a documentary and a movie about stage fighting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is you have some old school prison guards there, and that's all they know is violence. So transitioning into corrections now in 2020 and 2025, it's a new, different environment. What I'm getting at is some of these officers, we'd have inmates that would board up or would cause issues and not want to transfer. So as a supervisor, it's my responsibility to get him from point A to point B.
Okay.
So I start with my officer, say, hey, go talk to him. Once that fails, sergeant, go talk to him. And then I would send my senior cops that had a rapport with the inmate. and they would say, hey man, if we have to do an extraction, you're gonna get
Yeah.
why should this happen? Like, we don't want to go in there and hurt you. So him saying that caused the whole investigation. And there's cameras now, right? Everyone has a body worn camera.
Okay.
And
That's tactical language, bro.
it really is. I mean, I don't see a problem with that, because you gotta, and you know better than me, Marlon, like when you're talking to people that know violence, grew up in a bad area, sometimes talking to them at that level is kind of what gets their understanding, if I could say.
Well, you know what? For the record, you've done it way more than I have.
I don't know.
So you would know better than I would.
Maybe in just the prison atmosphere.
I would imagine. Oh, I can only imagine now that, as you're telling the story, I'm imagining in my mind where, you're extracting someone from a cell and you're like, dude, you know what? Shit's about to go down.
Yeah.
And you need to get the fuck out, right?
Yeah, just like that.
Right.
Now you're losing 5% though, is what I was going to get at. Yeah, and that was my investigation.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously. So, and the inmate, they're getting smart now. So nowadays, what they'll do is, obviously, like you see these people antagonizing police, right? Trying to get them to say something.
Oh yeah.
They do the same thing in prison now.
Yes.
So I have a body worn camera on.
Got it.
And they'll get under your skin, and they'll try to get you to bite. And then what they do is they look at the time, and then they go do a grievance, complaint form. On this date and time, Marlon called me a bitch.
Okay.
And then it gets brought to my attention. Now I have to investigate.
Okay.
And the biggest problem is, me as a supervisor, I have to pull body cam footage.
Correct.
So that inmate will purposely put a 20-minute gap. So I have to purposely review 20 minutes of footage. What do you think is going to happen if an officer has his camera on?
For 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're probably going to see something you shouldn't see.
100%.
And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, you're probably going to see that officer say something derogatory or rude.
Correct.
And now they want us to scrutinize and punish these officers for shit that's normal, in my opinion.
Right.
And that is not fair. I do not believe that's fair.
Right. Well, here comes the buzzword, de-escalation.
Right.
And so at some point, you're going to have to de-escalate.
Yeah. And another thing too, Marlon, is they started implementing body-worn cameras, right, in the state of California.
Correct.
About, 2021, I believe. Right? So it started actually with where Hector worked at, RJD.
Okay.
So that prison started the body-worn cameras in the state of California. Well, they only implemented those cameras in 5 heavy prisons.
Okay.
Right? Where officers had to actually wear body-worn cameras. And then I think it trickled down. Right now it's like 10 in the state of California.
Okay.
But some of them only have AVSS. So they can only monitor from a building. You don't actually get to hear or see physically what the officer's saying or doing. Where I worked at, and RJD where like Hector worked at, they actually have cameras on their person.
Correct.
But we were mandated by a jury, and a federal court order, I believe, that our cameras will be on our whole shift. Where other prisons only have their camera on when they're interacting with the inmate.
Yeah, there's got to be a criteria, man.
So I don't agree with that, And
No, I'm with you too. Look, cameras can be your worst enemy. They can be your best friend.
yeah, and honestly, I've seen it being used for the good. Inmates making allegations. Good officer didn't do anything. I review it, and that inmate is technically lying. The problem is they're not holding those inmates accountable.
100%. Yeah, and to your point, there is, call it what it is, right? It's an inappropriate remark. Got it. We call it tactical foul language. But even then, of course, 20 minutes, what do you expect it's going to happen?
Yeah, and
especially when you're trying to do an extraction.
Yeah, so, back to your question, I was having to write officers up for inappropriate language, cursing, being on their iWatch, texting their significant other, whatever, minor stuff. And man, Marlon, when you start doing those things over and over again to good officers, what does that do?
Oh, the morale.
The morale is fucking destroyed.
The impact.
And that's where we're at right now in 2025.
Really?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
So you feel as though that perhaps this body-worn camera policy as it is today, maybe perhaps it should be revised. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's being implemented differently in every prison, and that's not fair. If you're going to implement something, it has to be across the board.
Got it. I see. So there's no parity.
No.
It's not fair across.
No, every prison's doing it a little differently.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that can cause problems.
A lot of problems, yeah.
Well, not only that would cause, if I was a young correctional officer, I'd be like, you know what? They're not as strict over here, so I'm going to transfer over there.
Yeah, so you had a lot of guys with 20 plus years in transferring, retiring, or going to areas where you didn't have to really wear a camera, like a control booth area or a central control area passing out equipment. So they don't want to be involved in that. Why would you?
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting paid the same money as you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go where I have to wear a camera 8 hours a day,
Yeah,
or
no,
I'll just transfer to a place where I only have to put it on when I'm talking to an inmate.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You did 12, 13 years, man. What happened?
So I started at Valley State Prison as an officer. I did like 3 years there. I wanted to promote. You know, I didn't want to work the line forever. So I took the sergeant's test, and I was one of those guys where I wanted to promote, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready. A real good guy, I don't remember his name, he's part of the union. He said, hey, Alex, just go take the test. You got nothing to lose.
Right.
So I said, actually, my test date is today. I'm supposed to take it today. He's like, why are you here? And I said, I'll just take it next year. He's like, dude, these tests don't come out that often right now. So he was a union person, so he called our hiring office and said, hey, Duran's going to leave on ATO or whatever time off. He has a state examination to go take. So I left work and drove an hour to go take a test in an auditorium and took the sergeant's test. I was young. I didn't really care to promote or not at the time. I wanted to, but it wasn't realistic for me.
Right.
Took the test, passed, and then about
Your name gets called.
Yeah, a year later, they put us on a ranking system. I ranked, which means you're eligible to interview. And then all the prisons in the state of California start sending you acceptance letters for an interview. And you just pick kind of where you want to interview.
Okay.
So I interviewed at CTF Soledad as a sergeant. And I got lucky, in my opinion. My first interview, they picked me up. And while I was getting picked up, or they called me and offered me the position, I was going through our crisis response team, or kind of like our SWAT school. So I was going through the 10-day program there, and they called me, and I'm thinking, oh man, what am I going to do? I was just going to be brothered in with these guys for their CERT team, and now I'm getting picked up for a promotion. So I took it, and I promoted to CTF Soledad. You know, Soledad's old school, old prison, really good prison to work at. 24 years old, 25 years old.
Okay.
Brand new sergeant. And you know how that goes. You see a kid with stripes on, you're like, you know, doesn't know what he's doing. So that was, so I was a sergeant at Soledad for about a year, did the CERT stuff. Man, awesome experience training with those guys, working over there at that prison. Soledad's old school. So, I mean, you look around, Marlon, and there's holes in the wall from when they used to shoot in the chow hall. Wow. It's like, you know, old school. That's scary for somebody like me. So, I did a year there. I had to come back to the Central Valley. I was trying to establish custody with my daughter. So they're like, hey, man, you live 3 hours away. Like, if you want to see your daughter, you got to be somewhere central here. So I said, okay, no problem. So I interviewed at Corcoran, and I interviewed at North Kern to transfer as a sergeant.
Okay.
And that's one of the benefits working for the state is as a correctional officer, you can potentially transfer in any of those 30, 35 prisons.
Got it.
You know, depending on availability and your issue. Like a lot of people have, what is it called, hardships, or where you can be qualified to transfer. So I interviewed at Corcoran, didn't get picked up. Interviewed at Kern Valley, didn't get picked up. And I'm like, man, I'm already a sergeant. Why don't nobody want me, you know? And I went back to interview again at Corcoran, all disgruntled, because I'm thinking, you guys didn't want me the first time. Why do you want me now?
Right.
So I interviewed there, and I did not even give two shits during the interview. I was just, I knew the answers, the questions, but I was just like, whatever. Do what you got to do. You guys don't want me.
Right.
And I said some stupid stuff at the end of the interview, and they took it.
But you got the job.
They liked it. I'm like, well, okay. And they called me the next day, and they said, hey, is this Duran? I said, well, yeah. They're like, we want to offer you a full-time position. I said, why? Okay, you know, and then I started at Corcoran.
Okay.
1 year as a sergeant, and did not realize what I was getting myself into. You know, like, I guess, like, picture your most violent area to work the streets as a police officer. Oof. You just don't want to go there, you know? And brand new sergeant, year in, and I started at Corcoran. Remind you, I talked to Big Game in that interview, acting like I knew it all, but I didn't. And they said, hey, put this kid in our EOP ADSEC, which is our inmates that are mentally challenged, very violent. And I learned real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Then after that, you made lieutenant.
Yeah, so I didn't make lieutenant right away. I was a sergeant for 3-4 years, and at the time there wasn't a whole lot of tests coming out now. Like now they're coming out yearly. You can take the test, take the test. At the time it was like every 3-4 years. So the test came out for lieutenant. I took it and I didn't pass. My head wasn't straight. I was just, you know, not there, and I was all disgruntled. I took it, didn't pass, so I had to wait another 2 years.
Okay.
Did 2 more years as a sergeant, I want to say. A total of like 7 years as a sergeant.
Okay.
And the test came out again, and I took it, and I passed. And then, yeah, I was out of class lieutenant for about 8 months, and then finally got picked up full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, man, do you have an IA story yourself to share, that something that happened to you, or?
I mean, I got a bunch. I could tell you kind of like the end one if you want to hear that.
How about if you tell me something that we can all learn from? Because those are always the best, you know. And one of the things I always ask my guests is, not only do we get some lessons learned,
Yeah.
but more than anything, is there any accountability on your part? And I guess a follow-up question to that would be, as you sit here today, right, and reflect on this incident, is there anything that you could have done different, or maybe not?
Yeah.
What
I'm
do you
thinking
think?
about the first time I was like under investigation.
Okay.
'Cause I've been investigated quite a bit. The first time I was investigated was a bad cell extraction. Went really bad.
Okay.
Had a lieutenant that was just trying to prove himself too much, and he ordered us to go in on an inmate that was super violent. We shouldn't have gone in on this guy, but we did. So
Okay.
4 or 5 of my officers went in, and then I'm behind them as a supervisor. One of the most violent inmates in the state. So I think he rocked the first kid, pretty much knocked him out, stabbed the next guy. My other 2 officers are fighting with him. He actually is able to get just about out of the cell. And then I have to physically, with him, take him down and do what we have to do to restrain him. Big investigation opened up.
Wow.
Huge, right? So
How long did the investigation last,
a whole year.
if you can recall? A whole year.
Whole year.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: in that whole year, what did that feel like?
It's horrible. It's horrible, Marlon. It is horrible.
Did you think your career was like over?
Yeah, because you go through that cycle where you get served paperwork.
Okay.
You know you're under investigation, and now you're asking yourself, what did I do wrong? What do they have on me? Like, there were so many people involved in that incident. I don't really know half of what they did, because I did my part, and then I left, and then they're interviewing me on all these other things I don't really know, because I wasn't there towards the end of the incident, type of thing. So you just kind of, you're asking yourself questions all the time, and you're carrying this 100-pound weight on your shoulders, and you almost feel sick.
Were you ordered not to talk about it?
Yeah, and they give you the bullshit. Hey, don't talk about it. And what's the first thing you do? You go talk about it. Everyone talks about it.
Right.
That's yeah.
Right. Did you feel as though when all the accused, right? You, your officers,
Yeah.
and even your lieutenant, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel as though after that you kind of couldn't talk to one another, or, you know, did you feel like you were, well, better yet, here's a better question. Here you are with all your colleagues,
Yeah.
you know, people you work with every single day, but once this IA goes down, you kind of,
You have to.
you're in the island all by yourself.
Definitely. I mean, everyone's asking you what happened. What'd you do? Oh, I heard you're in trouble. This, and that, and you don't want to talk to anybody, because honestly, you don't know who you can trust. You don't know who's just going to spread gossip about you. So you start isolating yourself, and it's not like it's for a week or two. It's for months.
Yeah.
And then you become like numb. You feel like you're an outcast.
In that whole year, were you assigned a home, or were
No,
you working?
I was working.
You were
every
working.
day.
Got it.
You know, you kind of forget about it after a few months, kind of just become immune to it, and then, hey, you're up for an interview. Wow, okay. And then it kind of hits you all over again.
Okay.
And honestly, Marlon, I didn't do anything wrong during that whole incident. It was just a big investigation, a lot of questions, and obviously you know how that process goes, but they're asking you a lot of questions and flipping stuff back and forth. I think my interview was 2.5 hours for that one. So you could imagine in 2.5 hours how the question they asked you at the beginning,
Right.
it could be kind of hard to remember because they don't want to just say yes or no answer.
Right.
You know, that's kind of how, in my opinion, they bait you. Explain.
Right.
Talk about it.
I'm curious, was her body worn video in this incident?
No.
Okay.
We didn't get those till, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. There was not any cameras.
As you reflect on it today, is there anything that internal affairs could have done different?
During that investigation, I was interviewed by a captain or a special agent, I think he was. He did a good job, in my opinion.
Okay.
I actually thought he was very professional. We have the questions we're being interviewed on. I did see him kind of like ask certain things that weren't put on there that I was like, I don't feel comfortable answering that.
Right.
I don't think they could have did anything differently. I thought they did a good job, to be 100%.
Okay. How about the outcome, if you don't mind me asking?
Everything was cleared. Nobody got in trouble.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, the outcome was fine. It was just one of those things to where I wish I would have known a little bit more about the process and having representation. Because people say, oh, you don't need representation. Oh, you're good. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
You always need representation. Even if you don't need it, you need it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Would you agree with me that perhaps maybe the process was the punishment?
Definitely. I mean, yeah. Because, there's a lot of younger officers that are gun-hole, and then you have your officers with 10, 15 years that have been under investigation, that have either been in trouble or they just been around it to where they know better. And it's kind of like, if they were to kind of explain that to the younger generation, I think it'd be a good eye-opener to kind of say, hey, man, just so you know, this is, because a lot of people will say that, hey, be careful, but they don't explain what that means.
Right.
So if they were to go in depth with kind of what I just mentioned, it might slow them down a little bit or stop them from getting in trouble.
100%. Last question about that. Were you treated any different when you came back or you were clear from this amongst your peers?
Not from that
Okay.
situation. There's other times I've been investigated and cleared, and people looked at me differently for certain things, and you're always looked at based off of what you were accused of. Guilty till proven innocent, yeah, that's just how it works.
Oh, man. Thanks for sharing that, man. Worst incident in your career?
Man, there's quite a few. Probably just the one that finished me off, to be honest.
Talk to me.
I was a new lieutenant. I was gun-hole, and all I wanted to do was honestly just help officers out. I wanted to train as much as I could. So I learned everything I could as a lieutenant. I did the incidents. I did the staff complaints. I did the LDIs. I put my head down and work, and you can ask any supervisor I worked for. I was a workhorse. I don't care what you put in front of me, I get it done. You got a grievance you need me to do? Cool, I'll finish it today. I wanted to work, and I wanted to prove myself, and I wanted to help my staff out. The faster I was able to get my work done, the more time I could train my cops, the more time I could help them with certain situations. So long story short, I mean, the last, when COVID hit, we did things differently. So the way the testing process worked for the state of California is they didn't want you to take a test in an auditorium around people. 6 feet distance bullshit for COVID. So they changed the structure for state examinations, and if you were eligible and you were going to take the sergeant or lieutenant examination, they opened up that lieutenant exam, sergeant exam for one whole week.
Okay.
So it opened up on a Monday and it closed on a Sunday.
Okay.
So for that whole week, if me and you were eligible, all we had to do was open up a link to take that examination.
Okay.
So what people were doing is they were taking the test from home. They were taking it in an office that wasn't being used. And what did that cause? It caused complacency. It caused people to be like, well, dang, I'm taking it at home. I can use different resources.
Of course.
And you could tell me all the...
Open book, baby.
Yeah, you could say all the integrity, trustworthy, get the fuck out of here. Everybody did that in the state of California.
Of course.
And I don't blame them. But so the first 2 years, that's everybody, all of a sudden, everyone's getting first rank. Because they rank us first, second, third, fourth, fifth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I took the test as a lieutenant. I ranked third.
Okay.
Right? But all of a sudden, all of these prison guards are getting first rank. How's that happening? And
so there's a little bit of a controversy, if you will.
And that's ultimately how I got in trouble. An officer called me while I was the shoe lieutenant, and she was asking me questions while she was taking the state examination. And I said, hey, I'm in the middle of a situation, just email me type of thing. So she emailed me, hey, what do you think about this question? And me being complacent and stupid, I answered it. I said, hey, I'd probably go with 3321, confidential material.
Okay.
So I answered 4 questions for a state examination. Word got around. Oh, the so-and-so passed because Duran helped her. Duran helped her out. And, you know, that gets around to the wrong people that don't like you, because I've never really been liked.
Okay. So reputation kind of helps.
Yeah, you could
Or
say that.
in this case, it didn't help.
I mean, you got 1,000 officers, Marlon, so no one's going to like you, or not everyone's going to like you. I'll put it that way.
I got my haters. I got haters
Yeah,
out there.
bet.
You know who you are.
Yeah, but so that got around to the wrong people.
Got it.
Investigate it. What the hell's going on here? Yeah. And so that opened up a case to where they reviewed 13 months of my email thread as a lieutenant. 13 months. You could imagine what people write back and forth for 13 months. Yeah. So somewhere along the lines, they backtracked to December when that test was open for the week, and they saw those 4 questions being asked to me, and me saying, hey, man, it's probably this. Yeah. Hey, it's probably that. Complacency. I admitted I was wrong.
Right.
I knew I was wrong 100%.
You took accountability.
The whole time during that investigation, Marlon, the lady, all she wanted to do was to get me to lie. Get me to lie. 3.5 hours trying to book me. I went through half the same training she did, so I knew what she was doing.
God.
I mean, I said, hey, I'm not going to lie about it. I did do that.
Right.
And she was like, well, why would you do that? I wasn't thinking clearly. I was being dumb.
Yeah.
Like, you understand, everybody's taking this test from
Yeah,
home.
honest mistake from the heart.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's a termination for us.
Right.
And yeah, so I was interviewed, and I'm thinking I might get demoted. I might get a slap on the hand, you know. No, they put me on ATO for a few months. I was put out on administrative leave, and then they subject to terminate me.
Okay.
And then I started the appeal process. And
That was my next question.
yeah, during that process, it was just, man, I hit a low. It was hard. It was really hard for me. I was gun-ho as a lieutenant. I was proud of who I was and what I was. And I'm thinking, man, you guys want to terminate me for the same shit like 95% of these supervisors are doing? And nothing against them, you know.
Right.
I get it, but let's open your eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, the whole state is doing this.
Yeah.
And the testing has changed.
Yeah.
Why am I being held to the same accountability?
You are the landmark.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I hate to say it that way. Yeah, but
the Duran Project is what it's called now.
That's exactly what it was. And people laugh about it, people joke about it, and it was hard, but yeah, hit me right in the jugular.
Yeah, well, you know what? Better to laugh now and have some humor about, hitting rock bottom. Did you ever think to yourself as you reflect, and we're having this conversation about what happened to you, and that was like the last nail in the coffin of your career.
Yep.
But think about what's going on in your life now compared to there. I mean, don't you think that maybe perhaps fate has it that you had to go through all that to maybe kind of test yourself and say, hey, is this really my career path? Does God really want me to do this? What do you think?
Yeah, Marlon, I mean, all I know is prison. You know, I've been a prison guard my whole life since I was a kid. Yeah. So that's all I knew. That's all I wanted to know. You know, you take that from me, and all of a sudden you stop getting a paycheck. That's a huge eye opener, because you know, us, that's all we depend on is our check, our overtime.
Yes.
Yeah. So that when that stopped, and I was not getting any money by the state, and you know, the majority of us have 5, 10, 15,000 in our savings.
Right. So
I washed through that in a month.
Yeah.
So I went through 2 months of no money, selling everything I had. I hit rock bottom, and man, it was hard, Marlon. It was hard. I went through that, you know, depression and do I even want to be here anymore phase, and I didn't know what to do. Yeah. I didn't have no friends. I don't have no help. You know what I mean? Right. And so it was one of those things. You either pick up or you fall down, and I had a choice to make, and I didn't know what to do.
Are you helping others now?
I am. So I transitioned my experience and everything I did with the state, and I built my resume up, and I went down to the northern region and got involved in the security industry. Okay. And it was very hard at first because you got to sell yourself. So I was trying to do counter surveillance security, executive security. But when they don't know you, it's one of those things like, why should we hire you?
Oh, no, 100%.
So I did that, and I was literally sleeping in my truck for 2 months trying to get work with these guys. I would work a day or two, and then they'd be like, hey, we'll call you back for Friday. Well, I couldn't drive 4 hours back home.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, I'll just sleep here, you know, and slept in my truck, showered at a Planet Fitness. And, you know, I did that for 2 months, contemplating on my mental health and do I even want to be here? And then I got thrown a bone by a CEO. He's a billionaire in Redwood City. And he said, hey, Alex, you got an extensive background with SIR as a supervisor. You want to come work my main building for 4 days. So I started working his main building for 4 days a week. And that was equivalent to what I was making as a lieutenant. So I was happy. I was able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
You know, put a roof over my kid's head and not have to worry about falling back. Yeah. And then that opened up another door to what I'm doing now. I'm working for another multi-billionaire in Los Altos, and you know, I signed an NDA, so I won't say too much, but I'm working for him, and awesome guy. I do executive protection work and counter surveillance work for him, and it's been freaking awesome. A guy I know in Visalia, one of my buddies introduced me to him, Jeff Brown, one of the best bosses I've ever worked for. Solid dude, real cool, good guy in the security industry, and he's the one that kind of gave me a hand to get me an interview lined up for what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And man, that's what I do.
That's good, man. You know what, sometimes, and you're not the only one, I think that we can all agree that us just individuals, females and males, we all suffer from some form of depression.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us, you know, get hit hard with it and some of us don't.
Yeah.
But think of it this way. You went through everything that you've learned and, you know, regardless of, you know, the way you actually finish your career in corrections, you know, in prisons, you gain so much success out of it to the point where you're in a better place now than you were before. You probably never would have thought about something like this if it wasn't for this journey.
Yeah, Marlon, and not to backtrack, but when I was still a lieutenant, I started doing TikTok and little YouTube reels, giving advice to correctional officers. Because, you know, I was never that cool guy where I was training up front and all that, but I've always wanted to help people.
Yes.
Because, like, I struggled as a newer officer. So I started making content like, hey, you know, first day in a building, this is what I would recommend. Or this is how I would use de-escalation, whatever. And then, excuse me, but when all that happened with me, I just stopped recording. I'm like, I don't want to do this no more. It's stupid. And then a few people said, hey, Alex, that doesn't take away your knowledge, your experience. And then it was helping me, like, mentally, knowing I could help somebody. Yeah. And a lot of people were hating on me, and they're like, you're stupid. You're not going to make a difference. You don't know. Why is no one wants to listen to you? And I'm just like, I just zoned everybody out, and I just kept recording, and it finally turned into something positive. And it's cool to see how many people actually are experiencing or dealing with those little things that I talk about. The same stuff. Nobody's helping them. And so if I could share a little video on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and I'm actually like a really easygoing, like humorous person. Yeah. So I started doing like funny stuff too, and people like it, you know. And if I can make somebody laugh, if I can make somebody a little bit more knowledgeable in the prison system, why not? You know. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I do that, and then I do executive protection on the weekends.
That's awesome, man.
And like you said, it's scary not knowing what my life's going to entail because all I knew was prison. You know, I could tell you in 15 years I'd probably be a warden, but honestly, I could have went back to work as an officer, but I saw what my life would look like with prison and all the stress and the anxiety and all the fake people. I don't want it, Marlon. So I made the decision to resign because of what I was doing in the security industry. Right. And, you know, that's just a start. What I want to do down the road is going to be another ball game for me. But I'm hungry, you know, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And helping people, Marlon, like, is huge to me. And knowing that I'm doing that now, you're right. Maybe God has another plan for me, and I don't know it yet.
I honestly believe that's a calling. You just had to go through all that.
Yeah.
to get to where you're at today, man.
Yeah.
Anything that I can do to help you, hey, man, I'm here for you. I saw you on TikTok. I saw you on Instagram. Our boy Hector hooked us up.
Yeah.
I really appreciate Hector.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for him and what he's doing. And hey, man, we're almost done. I'm going to leave the floor up to you and any advice you have for anyone who wants to become a correctional officer or even a cop. What advice do you have for them?
Man, if you want to get involved in be a correctional officer, things have changed so much. You got to understand, it's going to be a lot more different than the people that are telling you stories or what you're seeing on TV. It's a whole new era. So go in there and be open to learning. Be willing to understand you're going to be accused of a lot of stuff. And, man, there's just so much I can say on that. But that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm going to start my YouTube channel, to talk about how to be an officer in 2025. The prison system is really corrupt now, and I hate to say it that way, but they lost camaraderie, they lost morale. Understand you're going to go into an area that's going to be completely different. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. You have to observe as much as you can, and you have to take the good and get rid of the bad. And there's a lot of small stuff in prison that you're going to deal with inmates, with administrative stuff. You cannot let that affect you nowadays. Back in the day, it was different, but inmates are going to try to manipulate you, and you have to understand, if you have a camera on nowadays, that's going to be used to either your disadvantage or to your advantage if you're smart. So remember, you are being watched 24/7 when you walk into that gate. So do not get complacent thinking because you're sitting at an office, you're talking to a homie or a friend, or you're in an area where you think people aren't watching. Everybody's watching. So you need to be professional 100% of your time. You never know when a footage can get pulled by you, and you could not even be doing anything wrong. But just because somebody around you is, you will be scrutinized and you will be punished. It could be a good career if you make it one. Always set goals. If you want to be an officer for 2 to 3 years and keep moving up. Be a counselor, be a supervisor, do paroles. Don't sell yourself short in the prison system. There's way too much opportunity, and the only way you're going to find that out is if you keep moving forward. That's about it.
And hey, man, you can invite me to your channel, bro. Let's start talking.
Yeah, once I get there, I'm still down here.
They need to know I am, man.
Yeah, they really do, Marlon. They really do. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for everything. Thanks for stopping by, and we're going to wrap it up. And please, like always, be safe out there, and don't forget to go Code 6. Thank you.